How did you know about the publisher and farmer? From when you were in school? Or?
We did go to the same school, but I had actually found Knuckledown Press when I was looking for a publisher who was looking for literary, agrarian type of prose.
Okay.
And Knuckledown Press was that publisher. And I just happened to know the publisher in person as well. So that's how I found the publisher. But if anyone has, stories or know somebody who's working on stories from the area, make sure to send it to Knuckledown Press. It never hurts.
If I went to Knuckledown Press, they would be able to give me an e-version, or they would link me to.
They would link you to like Amazon or Smashwords or some other vendor for the ebook. Yep. The book is currently available on Amazon for the Kindle, and the Kindle app is something you can download on your home laptop or desktop. It can be a Mac or a PC. You can read it on your computer that way. If you have a smartphone, and maybe this is something you have to ask your kids about or grandchildren, but most of you probably have smartphones by now. I know it's a little inconvenient, but you can read the book on your phone as well. And then of course, if you have a tablet, like an iPad or anything like that, you can also get the book. And it'll be available for Nook and Sony and all the other e-readers within a couple of weeks. So, one of the things that probably bugs me the most, if some of you know this, maybe not, Ray Bradbury just passed away last week. One of my favorite quotes from him is that he says, you don't have to get people, you don't have to burn books to destroy a culture. You just have to get people to stop reading them. And that's something that, for me, I just read a study from one of the National Art Foundations. They conducted a survey through the US, Canada, and Britain. Take a guess, as we're looking around here, take a guess at annually, what percentage of men read fiction that's published in any given year, which is an immense amount, right? I mean, it's tons, but what percentage of fiction is made up by men reading?
25.
Very good guess. 20%. 20%. That means that 80% of the people who read fiction are women. So that's another thing I really wanted to do with these stories, and I think some of you heard that tonight, is to play on the relationship of fathers and sons, grandfathers and fathers, and grandfathers and grandsons, and how men interact with the land as well. Because men aren't reading, and it doesn't really matter what the content is, but you women, you need to get your guys to read. Because in a few years, it's already 20%. We're looking at kids, and if you talk to school teachers and stuff, they can attest to this. Not the parents here probably, but others. Kids aren't even reading books anymore. Some of them haven't read books where I teach, and they're in college, and they've never read a book before. So it's something that we need to combat, and that's something else too. I think hopefully, with the e-book movement and everything going digitally, I hope maybe reading kind of becomes cool again, because they can have it on their phone or on their computer, and they can just read here and there. Because they see a book and they don't want to read it, right? They're not going to pick up a book that's 400 pages and go through it. It's just not going to happen.
One of the things we did when we redid the library is we have a section of men's literature. We have some of the Western novels and some of the very male-oriented histories, and we are seeking donations of books like that to build that clientele.
And if you guys have anything and you're not reading them, donate them. I mean, for those of you who read some of these books, like, you might want to tell people that Lonesome Dove is a Western, but it's a literary masterpiece, right? And those of us who have read that know that. So it doesn't have, even if you need to hide it, just like you do with a dog or maybe a baby, get them to read something, just anything that you think they'd be interested in.
Along those lines, too, one of the most significant things they say to encourage boys to read is for them to see their fathers read.
Sure.
And I think sometimes we don't think enough about that boys seeing their dads read is so significant.
Yeah, and even if, and the best way to start is just to read somewhere in the family, right? So if one of these stories resonated with you tonight, you thought about your father, your grandfather, or a brother or somebody, just say, hey, I would like to share this story with you, and then see where it goes from there. Anything to get their interest a little bit. And of course, women need to read too, but it seems like you guys are doing fine. So 80% of the market goes down. So.
Do you think, did the survey indicate that men in general read more nonfiction?
Yeah, history and biographies, but beyond that history and biographies, they didn't read a whole lot. And if you think of all the great writers you can think of and how many of them are male. And if you think about English, and if you think about an English professor, how many of you think of a woman? Probably not many, right? You think of a guy.
Yeah.
And you know, those stereotypes are fine, but the truth is that behind those stereotypes, there's nothing going on, and that's something we need to change around. Ian McEwan, does anybody know that author? He wrote Atonement, that was made into a movie not so long ago. He had just written a new book. It's called Between the Sheets, which I haven't read yet. But anyways, he took his son. They're British, of course. He took his son out to Hyde Park with 2 boxes of novels, and they tried to hand them out for free, and they only gave one away to one guy. And so that again, going back to this, but that led Ian McEwan to say, once women stop reading, the novel will be dead. So that's my speech. Get guys to read, because
Are you familiar?
if I'm going to continue doing this, I'm going to need some readers.